Hello, I'm so excited to be here today. When Mrs. Perkins asked me if I wanted to speak to you guys, I was like, yes, absolutely. One, because I love FCCLA. I think it's an incredible organization, and I was involved in it in high school, which is kind of fun. And two, because she said the theme was resiliency in your community, and oh boy, can I talk about that, especially right now. So I'm super excited to be here. I am sorry that we are talking over a computer screen. You are dealing with basically virtual everything right now, and you're tired of it. I'm sure so am I would so much rather be in front of you, seeing your smiling faces, seeing you nod your heads, interact with each other, that sort of thing. So I wish I was, but it's just is what it is. So your teachers would like that too. And I want you to keep that in mind, that they are really not embracing the virtual idea either. But it is where we're at in the world right now. The decision makers who have made the decisions for you, whether that be in your school or your district, they're thinking about the health and safety of you. Okay, and your teachers and your peers, they're really thinking about the big picture. And so I think I really want to encourage you to consider that you're hearing different things from adults on whatever side of where their opinions fall on that. And sometimes I don't think we consider the entire picture. All right. We kind of just think about where we're at in that spectrum of events, of circumstances. And that isn't where everybody is. So make sure you're considering the global picture. It is not ideal, but it is what it is. And you have to accept that. And I want to talk about the teachers. The good teachers right now are innovating and adapting to what these circumstances. The pandemic was not expected. It came out of anyone's control. And so you have teachers who are just going all out to make sure that you get a good education. They aren't complaining to their students or spending time fighting the system. Those good teachers are just working tirelessly to continue to provide you with a good education no matter the circumstances they are given. That is resilience. These are role models, and you might be thinking that you're just a kid and you can't control how people act and feel, and you're right, you can't control how others act and feel, but you can influence how others act and feel by demonstrating resiliency. So I want you to think about that today, and think about those teachers that you have that are being good role models right now, who really are innovating and adapting no matter what their personal opinions are. And I really want you to join them. This is being a role model, okay? And you have, I think what the incredible thing right now is that you as children, young adults maybe is a better way to say that, you have the ability right now to really rise above. There's so much division, not just in the world. I mean, we know that in the world and in the nation, but I mean right down to our communities, right down to your parents or your friends' parents, or the kid who sits across the room from you, their parents, or coaches or teachers or superintendents. There's just so much division because everyone has an opinion. Everyone falls somewhere on the spectrum of how the pandemic should be handled. And it's really out of our control on how the pandemic should be handled as far as the big decisions go. But what is in our control is the ability to be resilient in this type of struggle. And what's so great is you, as the young adults, have the potential to be the ones who rise above, to be the light for the adults. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing in time, because I don't really know that there's ever been this much of an opportunity for that. I think that, you always have that opportunity, but right now the opportunity is so large to see young adults rise above. And I think that is so cool, and I don't want you to miss out on that. All right. So the definition of resiliency is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. It's being tough, having grit, that sort of thing, when things are bad. All right. Instead of falling into the trap of negativity and blame and anger, all of the things when life is not exactly ideal, you rise above. You find the ways to make it better. You're problem solvers. You're adapting. All right. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. It all starts with you. And you we often tend to sit there and think, especially in high school, I definitely was guilty of this. I'm not applying this to all of you, but I just went through the motions. I always was sort of just doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I never really sat there and thought, I can actually make a huge change in the world. Because I had never really had anyone tell me or give me the, permission to go ahead and do that. And I right now am giving you the permission to go ahead and make a change in the world, a positive change. Okay, you can. Even you, at whatever age you are, you can do that. All right. I want you to imagine your future community. Or maybe your ideal community. So think about the community you're in, and maybe you're thinking in your community of friends. Or maybe you're thinking in your community of the school. Or maybe you're thinking in your community of your town and surrounding area. Community can be a lot of different levels. So you think about what your future community where you want to make change the worst, or maybe the most. And I want you to think about the ideal version of that. Okay, so whatever it is, I want you to just imagine what that looks like. Will that community withstand setbacks and struggles? Okay, so maybe let's just talk about your community as in your town and surrounding area. Can they handle a pandemic? And this goes all the way from the people and making sure the people stay united to the resources. Do you have the resources to survive a pandemic when, Walmart runs out of toilet paper? Do you have that? Can you thrive within your community? And what can you do to help that? So what can you do to get your community from where it is right now to that ideal version? When I was teaching, let me start this. One of the things I really love about FCCLA is that it gives students the time and opportunity to make positive changes around them in small forms and large forms. These kind of changes that I'm talking about. And FCCLA is like made for that, which is so incredible. We tend to focus a lot on sports, especially in small towns in Montana. Well, not just Montana, but I'm from Montana, so I kind of get the psychology behind small sports there, or behind small schools, sports in small schools. And there's so much more than that. One of the things when I was teaching that I really did not like was how brutal the student schedules were. So especially your athletes, they would have a 0 hour. So from 6 to 7. So they got to the school at 6 a.m. 6 to 7, they would lift weights. 7 to 8, they could shower, eat breakfast, visit teachers, whatever they needed to do. 8 o'clock, school started. They'd go till 3:45. At 4 o'clock, practice would start. They'd get done with practice about 6:30. So at 7 o'clock was the first time in their day that they actually had a free moment. Okay, so mind you, they've gone 13 hours now. Okay, at 7 o'clock, this is when, your projects, you start working on your projects. This is when you need to start working on your homework, which varies from student to student, but for some students is several hours. So you are looking at putting in potentially a 15 to 16 hour day. And the problem with that is it takes away family time, and it takes away your opportunity to do things like community development, community service, volunteering. And so you kind of do just fall into the motion of going through the motions day by day and not really being able to work on those things that really matter. And I'm not discouraging sports. I was an athlete too. I totally get it. I think it's awesome. I think it's great for you, and it has a million different aspects to it that will help you in your future life. But that was something that really resonated with me. I was a high school math teacher, and so homework was kind of an issue with me because I felt like, well, we need to do homework, but these students' schedules are brutal. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that they weren't able to have dinner with their families at night. I didn't like that projects and homework and things were starting at 7 p.m. when their brains were already fried. All right, so the important work that they needed to do was not starting till then. So there was a lot of issues with that, and not just athletes. We had an excellent theater program, and so the kids were doing play practice or building sets or whatever it happens to do. There's lots of different things that people do, and there's students who don't have this brutal of a schedule. I totally get that, but a lot of you do. And so you're sitting there thinking, well, how on earth am I going to fit something else in? Because when I was talking earlier about the vision of the community, several of you, the ideas are coming. Your mind just went, wow, I could do something. I could have this. You guys are very creative. And then all of a sudden you think, where in the world am I going to fit that in? And so you get kind of discouraged in the fact that I have no idea where that's going to fit into my schedule. This is the one advantage, if there is one, of the pandemic. There is so much virtual learning. There's so much the things that we've always done that have been closed down. And sports looks very, very different this year. Extracurriculars look very, very different this year. And that gives you an opportunity to maybe shift where you spend your time. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm also saying that it is changing things in a little bit different way. Maybe temporarily, maybe we'll go back to normal, I don't know. But, in this moment, you might actually have some time to be able to make a difference. All right, so I really want to talk about that with you because you maybe now have an opportunity. You have FCCLA, which promotes this exact type of work on such a large scale, and I just think that's amazing. Now what you need is the courage to do it. Because it's scary. It's scary, especially if you are going to maybe ruffle some feathers, especially of adults. Like, not necessarily in a negative way, but if you are really going to try to work to bring people together or do different things that maybe some adults don't see as necessary. And, that power shift that I was talking about where, the students start to become the role models, the children start to become the role models for the adults is kind of scary, but is also amazing. So I am telling you right now, the courage component of this is really hard. There's a lot of insecurities. There's going to be even students or your friends are going to just make fun of you for thinking that that's even possible. And I just want you to block them out right now. I don't want you to listen to that negativity. If you had an idea come to your mind when I said to think about your ideal community and the thoughts just started firing and those neurons are going, I want you to pursue that. I want you to have the courage to pursue that because that is what will make a huge change. And even though you might think, well, it's just a small thing, those small things have a ripple effect or a snowball effect and they start spreading. And then pretty soon you've been a role model for someone else and they think, oh, I could do that too. And so they start spreading it. And then it's growing exponentially. And then pretty soon you've got adults who are getting involved and it's just growing even more. How amazing would that be? Just because of that small thing that you did, that small positive thing you did. So have the courage to make those hard choices to do something amazing for your community. I'm not going to give you ideas right now because I want you to have those ideas. Think about the things that your community really needs right now and just make that possible because truly nothing is impossible. I think we sometimes think that and we think, well, that would be a lot of work or that would take a lot. Go talk to businesses, get businesses involved, go get, the funding you need or whatever happens, what scale you're on as far as what you want to do, make it happen because it is possible. And I really believe in your potential. Right now, I think it is going to be the young people who are going to save this entire nation. I really do. I think the adults are not. The adults are not adulting well. They're not being very good role models. And I think that is where you will shine. And so I am cheering you on 100% because I want to see that from you. I want to see you adapt and make change and be able to make that change something that's sustainable for future generations or possibly even other communities. All right. I want you to keep it ongoing. So even if it's just an FCCLA project and you win at state and get to go to nationals, I want you to keep that. I want it to be something that you can keep going. That maybe when you go off to college or go off to career, that someone else can step in and keep doing those. Make these things big, all right, and sustainable. And I want you to start this today. All right. We are faced with so many difficulties today. There is financial struggles, there's health struggles, there's resource struggles, there's connection amongst people struggles, and there is just people struggles, adults not adulting well. And they're not, I think that right now we don't have time to sit back and say, well, I'll do that, when basketball is over, or I'll do that when we get done with, this thing, or, maybe in the spring things will be better and I can do it then. No, I don't want that. I don't want a someday, because you won't do it if you put it on someday. I want you to start today. So there is my message for you. I want you to think about what you can do to make a positive change right now, because communities across this state and across this nation are struggling. And you are the ones who are going to make the positive change. You are going to be the ones who bring everyone out of that struggle, which is so cool. And might be the first time in, I don't know about all of history, but it's certainly the first time in my life where the opportunity has been that great. All right, have the courage. Be adaptable, be resilient, make it sustainable, and start today. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a great conference.